Midwinter settles differently on a homestead. The world grows quiet, wrapped in a heavy stillness, yet the rhythm of life continues beneath the snow. On a cold, gray morning, the kind where your breath hangs in front of you like a small cloud, the homestead feels both asleep and alert at the same time. The shed door groans when it opens, stiff with cold. Inside, the tools rest where they were left after the last rush of autumn chores. Their wooden handles feel cool, worn smooth by months of work. Outside, the paths need checking, ice forming in familiar dips, fence lines leaning just a little more under the weight of the wind and frost. The animals nuzzle against mittens, their warm breath rising, the smoke in the crisp air, reminding you that even the deepest dark of winter, care is constant. Midwinter maintenance is quiet work. Mending a hinge before it breaks, tightening a wobbly latch, brushing the snow from solar panels, clearing the coop vents so the air stays clean. Inside, the hearth crackles while jars on the pantry shelves gleam in the amber and ruby rose. It's a season for tending tools, tending spaces, tending the quiet pulse of the home itself. As you move through the tasks, the old stories stir. Tales of keeping the hearth alive during the longest nights, of honoring the bones of the home so it remains strong when the world outside freezes. Midwinter reminds us that sustainability isn't just about growing. It's about preserving, mending, and preparing for the light that will return. Today's episode walks with you through that winter work, the practical tasks that keep a homestead running strong, the old seasonal traditions that shape these chores, and the grounding magic that lives in simple midwinter care. Settle in, the cold season has its own kind of warmth.
Welcome, witches, pagans, heathens, spiritualists, and anyone interested in living sustainably. This is
Old Ways, New Days, where the old ways meet the good dirt.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Nell. And each week we explore the sacred art of living close to the land. From compost to covens, chickens to charms,
We're reclaiming self-sufficiency, seasonal living, and ancestral wisdom.
whether you're stirring your cauldron or your soup pot,
This is a space for wild-hearted folk walking the homesteading path with intention, magic, and muddy boots. So we're back again.
we are. It's so cold outside.
I know.
It is what? 15 degrees right now.
Well, and tomorrow it's going to drop 20 degrees, so it's supposed to be, what, negative 13 or
Well,
something like that?
Let's find out. Well, it's supposed to hit a low of -8.
Oh, so maybe it was
And
negative 13 with wind chill then, maybe.
probably. We're supposed to hit a high of 14 tomorrow. So yay!
Yeah.
We hit a high of 21 today.
Ooh, that's not too bad.
No.
I know. People in the South.
You're like, what?
I know.
You guys are crazy up there. Yeah, we're crazy, all right.
Yep. So, I know what some of you might be thinking, winter is the quiet season, right? No, it's time to rest, but, to put your feet up by the fire and flip through the seed catalog. And while, yes, winter does offer us a slower pace compared to the frenetic energy of spring and summer, it's far from a time of complete dormancy for the homesteader.
Weird.
I know. So whether you're managing acres of rural land, tending a suburban backyard, or nurturing plants on an apartment balcony in the heart of the city, midwinter is actually a critical time for maintenance, planning, and setting yourself up for success in the growing season ahead. So, yeah. This episode will kind of go over a little bit of everything. So we're going to cover the essential tasks that keep your homestead healthy. We'll talk about livestock because maybe there's somebody listening who has some animals of some kind.
Well, there has to be somewhere, right?
Right, somebody. Even if it's just rabbits in the backyard. Protecting your perennials and your infrastructure, maintaining tools and equipment, which all of this is very important. And we'll spend some time discussing urban and suburban homesteading as well. So it's going to be a mix of everything today. We're not going to just focus on
one thing.
One apartment dwellers only. We're going to expand. So, but because, here's the truth. Homesteading isn't just for people with acreage. It's a mindset, a set of skills, and a commitment to self-sufficiency that can be practiced anywhere. So whether you're listening from your farmhouse in Vermont or a studio apartment in Chicago.
Wow.
I don't think we have any listeners in Chicago yet.
Maybe. I don't
know California.
Ooh.
And I believe Singapore.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned that in another
episode.
Yeah. So welcome. Hello, people across the world.
Yay!
So hopefully this episode has something for you.
So let's get into it. We're going to start with the winter livestock care. What's often the most demanding aspect of winter homesteading is caring for the livestock. For those of you with chickens, goats, rabbits, or other animals, midwinter presents unique challenges that require daily attention. So first we're going to start with chickens. Your flock's egg production has likely slowed down considerably. This is completely natural. Hens need about 14 to 16 hours of daylight to maintain peak laying, and winter days are short. Some homesteaders add supplemental lighting to extend the day, but I personally prefer to let my birds follow their natural rhythms and take a winter break. What you do need to focus on is keeping your chickens comfortable and healthy. Water is priority number 1. Chickens need access to fresh, unfrozen water throughout the day. Invest in a heated waterer or a heated base for your existing waterers. Check at least twice daily, morning and evening, and break any ice that forms. The coop itself needs attention. You want to balance ventilation with warmth. Contrary to what you might think, chickens are actually quite cold hardy, but they're extremely susceptible to moisture and ammonia buildup. Make sure your coop has adequate ventilation at the top to release moisture and gases, but no drafts at roost level where your birds sleep. Use the deeper litter method if you aren't already. Layer fresh bedding, wood shavings or straw work well, over existing bedding throughout the winter. This creates a composting effect that generates a small amount of heat and makes spring cleaning easier. Just turn it occasionally and add fresh material on top. Feed your chickens well. They need extra calories to maintain body temperature, so increase their feed slightly and offer high energy treats like cracked corn in the evening. Warm oatmeal on particularly cold mornings is like chicken comfort food. Yummy.
So for other livestock considerations, for those with goats, ensure they have a dry, draft-free shelter. Goats hate being wet more than they hate being cold. Their water also needs to be ice-free, and they'll need quality hay available at all times. Check their hooves regularly. Muddy, wet conditions can lead to hoof rot. Rabbits are surprisingly cold tolerant if they're acclimated and have adequate shelter from wind and moisture. Provide extra bedding, and again, keep that water from freezing. Some folks bring rabbits indoors or into garages during extreme cold snaps, especially if they have kits.
So, your daily routines. Establish a consistent daily routine. Animals thrive on predictability, and you're less likely to forget crucial tasks if they're part of your regular schedule. My winter livestock routine looks like this. Morning check on water and feed, collect any eggs, observe all animals for signs of distress or illness. Evening check includes the same, plus securing all shelter against nighttime predators and temperature drops. Document any issues you notice. Keep a homestead journal. When I look back at my notes, patterns emerge that can help me prepare better each year.
Protecting plants and your perennials. Let's talk about that. So we have fruit trees and garden infrastructure. Even though your garden beds might be blanketed in snow, there's still work to be done. You want to mulch for protection. If you haven't already mulched heavily around your perennials, you still can, as long as the ground isn't completely frozen solid. A thick layer of organic mulch, 4 to 6 inches of wood chips, straw, or shredded leaves protects root systems from freeze-thaw cycles, which can be more damaging than sustained cold. For any marginally hardy plants in your zone, consider additional protection. Burlap wrap works wonderful for protecting evergreens from winter burn and heavy snow. Create simple frames with stakes and wrap burlap around the perimeter. Don't wrap too tightly, as air circulation is still important.
Fruit trees and berry bushes. Check your fruit trees for damage from winter storms. Heavy snow and ice can break branches, and small animals might be gnawing on bark at ground level. Use tree guards or hardware cloth cylinders around the base of young trees to prevent rabbit and vole damage. Prune your fruit trees and berry bushes while they're dormant. Late winter is actually ideal for this. Remove any dead, diseased, or crossing branches. This improves air circulation and sets up better fruit production. Just make sure to do this on a day when temperatures are above freezing to minimize stress on the plant.
This is also a great time to check your tools and your equipment. You want to inspect all of these things that you might use in the garden. So you want to sharpen your pruners, shears, and hoe blades. Clean and oil wooden handles. Repair or replace anything that's broken. Come spring, you'll be grateful to have everything ready to go and it's all done. Check your hoses, your irrigation systems, and rain barrels. Make sure everything is properly drained and stored to prevent freeze damage. If you have a greenhouse or a hoop house, inspect it for tears, broken frames, or structural issues that snow weight might cause.
So, for those of you with greenhouses or cold frames, midwinter is when you can really appreciate these structures. You can be growing cold-hardy greens like spinach, kale, mache, claytonia, right through winter in many climates. Vent your greenhouse on sunny days. Even when it's frigid outside, the sun can heat a greenhouse to dangerously high temperatures for your winter crops. Install automatic vent openers if you're not home during the day. They're game changers. Water sparingly in greenhouses during winter. Plants grow slowly and use much less water. Overwatering in cold conditions invites fungal diseases.
Winter is also the season for infrastructure maintenance and planning for the year ahead. Let's also talk about making the most of this quieter time.
So, building and fencing. Walk your property and inspect your fencing. Look for damage from fallen branches, rust on wire, loose posts, or areas where animals might have compromised the integrity. Winter storms and freezing temperatures can reveal weaknesses. Make notes and create a spring repair list. Check all your buildings, coops, sheds, barns. Look for roof damage, water leaks, rodent entry points, and structural issues. Small problems may become big problems if left unaddressed.
If you have outdoor spigots, hopefully they've already been winterized, but you still want to check them periodically. A burst pipe in February is nobody's idea of a good time.
What are you talking about?
I know, frozen pipes.
Free ice skating rink outside.
Or in your basement. Know where your shut-off valves are and how to quickly address any plumbing emergencies, beyond, of course, calling a 24-hour plumber where it's $1,000 just for them to come and visit.
Gross. And that's the only time I'm glad I live in an apartment.
Yeah. For those with wells, ensure your well house or pump is protected from freezing. If you rely on rainwater catchment, your barrel should be drained and stored. but use this time to plan improvements, additional capacity, better filtration, first flush diverters.
Planning and education. This is prime time for planning next year's garden. Pour over those seed catalogs. Review what you worked on and what didn't work from last season. Research new varieties you want to try. Create your garden map. Planning crop rotation to prevent disease and nutrition depletion. Start ordering seeds now. Popular varieties sell out, especially from small specialized seed companies. Plus, having those seed packets arrive gives you something tangible to look forward to when you're deep in winter.
It's like a giant party when you get those seed packets.
It's like your birthday or Christmas, all wrapped up in one.
Right.
So take online courses, read books, watch educational videos. Winter is when you can dive deep into learning new skills. Maybe it's cheese making or better composting techniques or perennial food forest design. Invest in your knowledge base. Connect with other homesteaders, join online forums, attend virtual workshops, participate in social media groups. The homesteading community is incredibly generous with knowledge and support.
And also listen to us.
What? Who would do that?
I don't know. The 25 people on Facebook.
Would I listen to us?
I might. Would you listen to us?
I'm kind of weird.
Well, yeah, I think I am too. Anyway, let's back on topic. So for those of you who live in more urban and suburban homesteading areas, we're going to shift gears and talk about your aspect of homesteading, particularly for those of you working with limited space. This is such an important topic because the homesteading movement is increasingly urban. You don't need 40 acres and a mule to be a homesteader.
What?
I know, right? You also don't need 40 chickens and goats and...
But I wanted the mule.
Oh, I want the 40 chickens. Well, actually ducks. I would prefer ducks. You need the desire to produce some of your own food, to reduce your dependence on industrial systems, and to connect more deeply with the sources of your sustenance. And you can absolutely do that in a city or suburb.
So the urban homestead mindset. Urban and suburban homesteading is about maximizing the space you have, however small that may be. It's about vertical growing, container gardening, intensive planting, succession cropping, and choosing high-value crops that give you the most return for your limited square footage. It's also about integrating homesteading into urban life, composting your kitchen scraps, even in an apartment, preserving and fermenting foods, maybe even keeping a few chickens in the backyard if local ordinances allow, growing herbs and greens in window boxes, and developing skills like bread baking, yogurt making, and basic food preservation.
Urban homesteading faces unique winter challenges. You might not have a yard at all, or your outdoor space might be a small balcony, a rooftop, or a shared community garden plot. You're dealing with microclimates created by buildings, limited sunlight, wind tunnels between structures, and sometimes restrictive rules from landlords or homeowners associations. But you also have advantages. Urban areas create heat islands. Cities are often several degrees warmer than surrounding rural areas, extending your growing season. You have access to abundant free resources, coffee grounds from cafes for compost, cardboard and newspapers for mulch, fall leaves from parks, and community networks for sharing knowledge and resources.
What you can do in the winter, even in midwinter, urban homesteaders can be productive. You can grow microgreens and sprouts indoors year-round. You can maintain a sourdough starter and bake bread weekly. You can ferment vegetables, kimchi, sauerkraut, pickles. You can render tallow or lard if you have access to fat from a butcher. You can make stocks and bone broths. You can plan and design next year's container garden. And if you have any outdoor space at all, even a balcony, There's growing you can do, which brings us to our next segment.
Before that, though, one thing that's, small spaces can do, maybe you build a lattice. You spend your winter time constructing a lattice.
Yeah. And, like beans and peas, they're a climbing plant.
They need that vertical space, and lattices are great for that. So, apartment and balcony homesteading in winter. So let's be specific about the most challenging but absolutely doable scenarios. Homesteading on an apartment balcony in winter. I'm going to give you a concrete, actionable strategies. Assess your balcony. First, understand your space. What direction does your balcony face? I think yours faces south, right?
Let me think. I don't even know. It doesn't get much sun though.
Okay, so it probably doesn't face south then, unless you have a lot of shade trees.
It's kind of down in a valley. Because I come down a hill.
Okay.
And then I've got a hill that I face.
All right. So, south facing.
Yeah.
Balconies get maximum sun. They are ideal for growing, in the wintertime. East facing gets gentle morning sun. West facing gets hot afternoon sun. And north facing gets the least direct light and also stays the coldest.
Weird.
I know. So make sure you know where your light's coming from. What's your climate zone? Are you in a mild climate where you might never see a hard freeze? Or are you dealing with deep winter cold? This determines what you can grow and how much protection you'll need to provide. And do you have weight restrictions on your balcony? This is very critical. Apartment balconies have load limits and wet soil is heavy. Check your lease or building regulations. Use lightweight potting mixes rather than garden soil, and consider using grow bags instead of heavy ceramic pots. Although now is the perfect time to go to your garden centers or your hardware centers, because all of those
on sale.
Those pots are on sale. Yes.
So, container selection for winter. Choose containers that can withstand freezing temperatures. Terracotta and ceramic can crack when water in the soil freezes and expands. Plastic, resin, and fabric grow bags are safer winter choices. Make sure all containers have drainage holes. In winter, waterlogged soil is a death sentence for plants. Excess water needs somewhere to go. Consider insulating your containers. You can wrap them with bubble wrap, burlap, or even old blankets during extreme cold snaps. This protects the root zone, which is more vulnerable than the above ground parts of cold hardy plants.
So what to grow on a winter balcony? Cold hardy greens are your best friends. You can grow spinach, kale, arugula, matcha, which is a corn salad, mizuna, Asian greens like bok choy and tatsoi, and various lettuces in containers right through winter in many climates. Here is the key though. Choose varieties specifically bred for cold tolerance and short days. Look for words like winter, arctic, cold hardy, or frost tolerant in variety descriptions. Herbs can work too. Parsley is surprisingly tough. Some varieties of cilantro, chervil, and hardy thymes can survive on a winter balcony. Rosemary is perennial in mild climates and can be overwintered in a sheltered pot on many balconies during, for those colder temperatures. Don't overlook the potential for forcing bulbs, paper whites, amaryllis, or even tulips and daffodils in pots. While they're not food crops, they do provide beauty and hope during gray winter months, which is its own form of homesteading nourishment.
I think it's so pretty seeing tulips pop up through the snow.
Yes.
It's it's just such a beautiful, picturesque.
Well, and then can you imagine if you decided to grow saffron crocuses in your pot during the winter?
Oh, that would be beautiful.
And then not only do you get the beautiful purple crocus flower through the snow, but then you can harvest little stipules, which is the saffron.
Yep. So, protection strategies. Even cold, hardy plants appreciate some protection from harsh winds and the worst cold snaps. If your balcony has a railing, you can attach clear plastic sheeting to create a windbreak. Make sure air can still circulate. You're blocking wind, not creating an airtight seal. Move containers closer to the building wall, which retains some heat and provides shelter. The corner of a balcony is often several degrees warmer than the exposed edges. On nights when temperatures will plunge, bring your most vulnerable containers inside temporarily, or cover them with frost blankets or even cardboard boxes. Every few degrees of protection can mean the difference between survival and loss.
Now, watering in winter can be very tricky. You want to water less frequently, but don't let plants completely dry out. Check soil moisture by sticking your finger an inch or two into the soil. Water in the morning on days when temperatures will stay above freezing so that excess water can drain and not turn to ice around roots overnight.
So, indoor-outdoor connection. Use your balcony space in conjunction with indoor growing. Start seeds indoor under lights. Then move them to the balcony when they're established and when weather permits. Harden them off first by gradually exposing them to the outdoor conditions. You can create a simple cold frame on your balcony using a plastic storage tote. Cut out the bottom, flip it upside down, and use a clear lid to create a mini greenhouse over a container or two. This can extend your growing season by weeks on either end of winter.
And then maximize your vertical space. Since balconies are small, you want to think vertically. Hanging planters can hold trailing greens or herbs. Wall-mounted planters or a vertical garden system can multiply your growing space. Use railing planters that hang on the outside and inside of your balcony railings. Just make sure they're securely attached and don't want a windstorm sending planters tumbling to the ground below. Nothing worse than seeing your hard work in somebody else's balcony.
Right, or, or on the ground.
In the parking lot.
Yep. And now that, like they have strawberries that are planter based. So it's like, fresh strawberries right from your own balcony.
And there are so many systems. There's stackable containers, and we'll look into a couple and see if we can't, offer a discount.
Yeah, we'll even try some here to, see what works and what doesn't.
And give you guys some honest reviews.
Yep.
Especially since Nell has the small little
I do.
balcony.
Yep. Well, and we could use your porch as an access too.
Although it doesn't get much light, it's very, very well shaded by the trees.
True. Well, we could use a tree.
Tiered plant stands allow you to stack containers, creating multiple levels of growing space in the same footprint. So, resource, be creative.
Yes. So, composting on a balcony. Yes, you can compost on a balcony. Small scale vermicomposting, so worm composting, is ideal for apartment dwellers. A plastic bin tucked in a corner of your balcony, or even kept indoors, can handle your kitchen scraps and produce beautiful compost for your containers.
I did do that YouTube video that I posted on our page a while ago.
Okay.
Of picking out a container.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah.
We'll attach that to our notes on here too.
Yeah.
And then alternatively, bokashi composting is another apartment-friendly method. It uses beneficial microbes to ferment food waste in an airtight bucket. It's odorless when done correctly and works even in tiny spaces.
The joy of small space winter homesteading is deeply satisfying. About stepping out onto your balcony in January, brushing snow off a container, and harvesting fresh kale for dinner. It's a radical act of self-sufficiency in an urban environment. You're not just growing food, you're claiming agency over your sustenance. You're connecting with natural cycles, and you're proving that homesteading transcends space limitations.
So, suburban homesteaders often have more space than urban counterparts. A backyard, perhaps a side yard, maybe in a small front yard that can be productively used. So let's talk about midwinter upkeep in suburban settings?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about chickens already, but that was more for like the large scale rural setting. So in an urban setting, you may be limited to, I know in my community, in my town, I think we can have up to 6 chickens or ducks, and that's it. So, if you're keeping a small flock of chickens, which, like I said, we touched on earlier, in winter, the considerations are the same: water, shelter, and feed. But you might have additional concerns with your neighbors.
Yeah.
You want to keep your coop clean and odor-free, especially in winter when moisture can create ammonia buildup. You want to maintain good relations with your neighbors by managing your flock responsibly.
So raised beds and in-ground gardens. If you have raised beds, they're likely dormant now, but there's still maintenance to do. Top them off with compost or aged manure. This feeds the soil biology and breaks down over winter, ready to nourish planting in the spring. Plant a cover crop if you didn't in fall. Even a little winter cover crop like winter rye or hairy vetch can suppress weeds and add organic matter when turned under in spring. Mulch pathways between beds to prevent weeds and mud. A thick layer of wood chips or straw makes garden access much more pleasant during wet winter weather.
Hoop houses and season extension. If you have the yard space, consider installing a hoop house or low tunnel over 1 or 2 beds. The best way to make them is to go on to like Facebook Marketplace and find your, giving away for free communities and see if anybody has old hula hoops,
right?
Especially the larger ones, because they make the perfect shape for a hoop house. These are simple structures. Like I said, you can use hula hoops or just PVC pipe, metal hoops, and then just add greenhouse plastic. This will create a protected microclimate that allows winter crop growing of cold hardy crops. You can build a 4x8 foot hoop house for under $100 if you resource off of community websites and whatnot. And it will obviously pay for itself in winter greens in one season.
So the perennial food systems. Suburban yards are perfect for perennial food plants, fruit trees, berry bushes, asparagus beds, rhubarb, perennial herbs. Winter is prime time for planting bare root fruit trees and cane fruits in mild climates, or for planting where they'll go in your landscape. Think about your yard as a food forest. Can you replace that ornamental shrub with a blueberry bush? Swap the lawn for clover that fixes nitrogen and feeds bees? Plant a hardy kiwi vine on that fence?
All good suggestions.
I would love to have a kiwi vine. Do you think we could grow that here?
I could probably grow one here, yeah.
Ooh.
I just need a vertical space for it to climb.
We can make one.
Yes, we can. I got a lot of leftover branches.
Yes.
Rainwater and irrigation. Suburban homesteaders often have gutters and downspouts. These are perfect for rainwater catchment. Just make sure that it is legal to do so in your town or community, because some places make it illegal for some stupid reason.
Yeah, heaven forbid you get free rain.
Right. You water your lawn and your veggies from rainwater. Yeah, heaven forbid. If your barrels are winterized, spend some time this winter planning an expansion of your system or improvements for next season. There are definite implementations you can make as far as first catch, siphon off, where it's a system that allows all the leaves and the debris that get caught up in your gutter system to be flushed out before it goes into your rain barrel. I've seen them in action. I don't know how to make one. I don't have rain barrels at the moment, though. There's also different filtration systems you can, research and invest in so that you don't get debris in your rain barrel and you don't promote mosquito
Right.
populations.
I have seen some where there's like the only thing that comes through is the water, where it has like a filtration system and the leaves just come right off on
That
top.
would be that first catch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that first siphoning off of when it first starts to rain and the gutters get cleared out of all the debris from leaves and birds and who knows what. Yeah.
So, community and sharing. Suburban neighborhoods are great for creating informal homesteading communities. Share surplus with neighbors. Trade skills. Maybe you're great at canning and your neighbor excels at carpentry. Winter is a good time to organize a seed swap or a skill sharing workshop for spring.
Some other indoor winter homesteading activities. So regardless of whether you're rural, suburban, or urban, every homesteader can be productive indoors during winter. So indoor activities that you can keep your homesteading spirit alive when it's cold and too dark to work outside include growing food indoors.
So microgreens are incredibly productive for the space they require. A 10 by 20 tray on your kitchen counter can produce a harvest every 7 to 14 days. Varieties like sunflower, pea shoots, radish, broccoli, and salad mixes are easy and nutritious. Sprouts are even easier. All you need is a jar, some seeds, and water. Alfalfa, mung bean, lentil, and broccoli sprouts are ready to eat in 3 to 5 days.
And are amazing and highly packed in nutrients and protein.
If you have a sunny window or grow lights, you can grow herbs year-round. Basil, parsley, cilantro, and chives all you do well indoors in pots.
Some people even grow full-size vegetables indoors under lights. Tomatoes, peppers, lettuce. It just requires an investment in lighting and space and understanding pollination.
But it is possible.
It is possible.
So late winter is when you'll start seeds for spring transplanting. Set up your seed starting station, shelves, grow lights, heat mats, trays, and seed starting mix. This is an indoor activity that directly connects to outdoor abundance later.
And if you want more in-depth information, listen to our seed starting episode.
Correct. That will entail everything step by step and what you need to get everything started for you.
Right. Preserving and fermenting. Winter is an excellent time to work through your preserved harvest. Make jam from frozen berries, can meat stock or bone broth, and ferment vegetables. Especially if you're doing canning, all that excess heat from your oven and your stove.
It's a perfect time because...
And then everything smells so nice.
It heats the house.
And yes. It's like childhood memories.
Right?
But all the good ones.
And if you haven't tried fermentation, winter is a great time to start. Sauerkraut. Yummy. Kimchi, pickles, and other fermented foods are probiotic rich and historically were how people preserved vegetables before refrigeration.
Baking and dairy. This is a great time for making home baking, which brings warmth and, like we just said, wonderful smells into the home. If you've wanted to learn sourdough bread baking, winter is perfect for developing and maintaining a starter. Making yogurt, kefir, and cheese are valuable homesteading skills that can be practiced year-round in any kitchen. But, you have nothing else to do right now, right?
Well,
I mean...
I have a lot to do.
Outside of work. Learn a new skill. Take the winter to learn a new skill.
I have a lot to do. Like, I have umpteen billion hats to make right now.
Yes, because that's, knitting and spinning and crocheting. All the fibers and stuff that,
That's a good winter job, too.
That is a good winter job, because then while you're, if you make an Afghan, you work
on it and you stay warm.
Yeah, you warm your lap as it gets longer. Maybe you even try leather working or soap making or candle making. These are traditional homesteading crafts. They're satisfying, they're practical, They make great gifts.
Oh, sewing.
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
Right?
So, planning and record keeping. We mentioned this earlier, but it bears repeating. Winter is for planning. Review last year's garden journal. What worked? What failed? What do you want to try this year? Create detailed plans. Map your garden beds. List the seeds you're ordering. Schedule your planting calendar. Research new techniques. This planning isn't just practical, it's also deeply hopeful. In the depths of winter, planning for spring abundance is an act of faith that sustains the homesteader's soul.
And of course, finally, winter is all about self-care. Especially if, it doesn't matter if you're homesteading or not, self-care is extremely important. So before we wrap up, let's talk about something that does not get enough attention: taking care of yourself during the winter.
Absolutely.
So homesteading in general can be a physically demanding year-round thing that you do. In winter, you're dealing with cold, wet conditions, heavy lifting, and sometimes treacherous footing on ice and snow. You need to take care of your body.
Dress appropriately in layers. Invest in good boots with traction. Take breaks to warm up. Don't push yourself to injury trying to accomplish everything in one freezing day.
Or even before that one snowstorm comes through.
Right.
Winter can also be mentally challenging, especially in northern climates like where we are, where daylight is short and the weather keeps you inside. Make sure you're getting outside daily, even if it's just for a short walk. Sunlight and fresh air are critical for mental health, and you can go listen to our episode on SAD.
Yep. And I highly recommend, if you do suffer from it, to seek medical help, because you're not the only one suffering it. I suffer from it, and I got help, and even though it's a little bit of help, it's still help.
Yep, and anything can make a difference.
Yes.
So,
it's the little things that make a huge difference.
Yep. Stay connected to your community. Homesteading can be isolating, and winter only amplifies that. Reach out to other homesteaders online or in person. Share your challenges and your victories.
And remember, winter is a season of rest in nature, and you're part of nature. It's okay to slow down. You don't have to be productive every moment. Rest is not laziness, it's preparation for the intense activity of spring and summer.
And read for pleasure. Sit by the fire, drink tea, hot cocoa, coffee, your drink of choice. Maybe it's a hot toddy.
Maybe.
And watch the snow. These quiet moments are as much a part of homesteading as the labor.
So let's bring it all together. Midwinter homesteading upkeep is about maintaining what you've built, protecting your investments in plants and animals and infrastructure, and preparing for the abundance to come. It's about daily attention to livestock, thoughtful care of your land and gardens, and making the most of limited space, whether you're on a farm or a balcony.
For urban and suburban homesteaders, winter is your time to prove that space limitations don't limit your spirit or your ability to produce food and live more self-sufficiently. Container gardens, indoor growing, fermentation, preservation, all of these are pathways to homesteading wherever you are.
The key themes we've covered today are consistency, preparation, and adaptation. Show up for your animals and plants consistently, even when it's cold and you'd rather stay inside. Prepare now for spring. Order seeds, repair equipment, plan your gardens, and adapt your techniques to your specific circumstances, your climate, your space, your resources.
Homesteading in winter isn't glamorous. You're not harvesting armloads of tomatoes or cutting bouquets of flowers, but you're doing the foundational work that makes those summer harvests possible. You're keeping the cycle going. And whether you're managing a large rural homestead or nurturing a few pots of kale on a city balcony, you're participating in something profound. You're taking responsibility for feeding yourself and your family. You're connecting with the rhythms of nature, and you're building resilience and self-sufficiency.
That's beautiful work, and it's work worth doing especially when, it's cold outside.
So thank you for joining us today.
If you found this episode helpful, please share it with your fellow homesteaders,
Leave a review,
and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes.
Until next time,
Stay warm,
stay curious,
and keep homesteading.